You're live, Carol.
Thank you. I call to order the meeting of the Parks and Community Services, the City of San Ramon. Now we are in order. And I would like to call on our Madam Secretary to please provide our information for us.
Thank you. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed the standards set forth in Governor Gavin Newsom's Order N-29-20, which allows public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. At this time, it would be appropriate to conduct roll call and afterwards to confirm certain matters for the record. Commissioner Dorlick, we'll come back to him. Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Birnbaum.
Present.
Commissioner Roberts.
Here.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesic.
Here.
Student Commissioner Ramesh.
Here.
Vice Chair Oslin.
Here.
And Chair Lopez Lucy.
Present.
Thank you.
There we go.
Well, I'm just calling roll call. Commissioner Dorlick.
Present.
Thank you. Now I would like to verify that all members of the committee can hear me well. All members of the committee have been able to hear all previous speakers, including the roll call. And each committee member believes, based on facial or voice recognition or otherwise, that all persons representing themselves to be a committee member are in fact committee members. If all three statements are true, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. And finally, as a reminder, any votes taken during this meeting must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Madam Secretary, would you please lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance while you lead us while we all mute ourselves.
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Excuse me. All right, our first item of business is 4.1. Do we have special announcements?
Oh, we always have a few special things to announce to the group. So I think I'm so happy to announce that Rec Swim will reopen at the San Ramon Olympic Pool this Saturday. So yeah, that's worthy of big cheers because it's been so long. We've had that absolutely fabulous play structure with a giant bucket just waiting to dump and splash all the children. So it is by pre-registration, it is full. So I'm sorry to say that at this point we're full with a wait list, but I'm happy that despite COVID and everything else, we are able to actually let those little kids and people into the pool. So that's pretty exciting stuff for us here in Parks and Rec. Also, I know we had you all hold the 26th for extra meeting, but at this point we are not going to hold that meeting. The Social Justice Collective's project piece is not ready to move forward through an approval process yet. So we're going to be pushing that timeline back. And so it may make it to a regular meeting or not, but you can let that 26th date go now. Also, in speaking of extra meetings, I do need to add a meeting for what I think would be logical is the Open Space Advisory Committee Liaison and the Open Space Advisory Committee Liaison Backup. Because if you had noticed, yeah, Julia and Dawn, if you had noticed, we forwarded some of the email that we got from the residents in regards to our trail that we were going to be putting in from Old Ranch Park to the fence, and they have some concerns. So we're planning a meeting with the residents just to talk about the project, understand their concerns, and make sure that, you know, we haven't really gone anywhere yet with it. We haven't done any actual activity. So we want to kind of get that forward. It was sent to our city, our clerk, and because it was unclear if it was public comment for this meeting or public comment for the open space meeting, we erred on the side of making sure that everybody had it. So I just wanted to make sure you knew why we sent it to you and that there is a meeting that we're going to have with the residents and those two, Dawn and Julia, who are both part of the Open Space Advisory Committee, where I think that's most logical. So Christy will be reaching out with dates on that. And then we also need to set up a facilities committee meeting for the last week of this month or potentially June. And I think the facilities committee is Carol, Julia, and Don. So Julia and Don, you're going to have another busy couple of meetings here so that we can talk about park attributes for the BR6 Summerhill Homes Park, the one that we had the joint meeting on. So we'd like to do that, and then that'll come to the full commission after it goes to facilities for discussion. So you'll all get a chance to weigh in, but we're going to start with facilities. So Christy will also be reaching out for that meeting. And then finally, just because this is one of those fun facts that I want to share, and it is announcements, so it seems like I can. So, you know, we've been doing all of our changes to the tennis program. And one of the changes that we had was this tennis ball recycling project where we would have the containers so people could recycle their tennis balls. And, you know, nobody really knew what that would be like on scope and scale, but they've already collected 600 tennis balls. So I had no idea that tennis ball recycling was such an important thing, but in just a, you know, barely over a month or so of doing this, and we've got 600, this is quite important to the community. So happy to let you know that some of those programs are working. That's it.
Thank you, Kathy. 4.2 is our temporary employee of the month for April. And I believe this would be presented by Stacy Munzel. And if you're there, would you then proceed?
And I believe Marlene is coming in as well. Let's wait. There she is. Okay. As most of you know, my name is Stacy Munsell, and I'm here to recognize Marlene Kleinfelter as the April Temporary Employee of the Month for the Parks and Community Services Department. Just a little background on Marlene. I was lucky enough to interview her in 2019 for the office assistant position. And when we interviewed Marlene, I had to stop myself from chatting with her the rest of the day and move on to the next interviewee because that's the type of person Marlene is. She's the type of person that as soon as you meet her, you feel like you have been friends with her forever. This is a quality that is at the heart of what makes Marlene an exceptional employee. Marlene has worked at all the parks front counters, including the El Costa Senior and Community Center, the San Ramon Community Center, both the Aquatic Center, and she's actually helped out at City Hall, and she's very welcome addition anywhere she goes. At the Senior Center, especially during the pandemic, she has been an integral part of keeping the center records up to date, reaching out to seniors in need, and also contributing to a big contribution to the success of the meal delivery program. And the seniors and staff always look forward to seeing her work and working with her. Marlene has also stepped in at the City Hall front counter to provide assistance to City Hall staff. She is always welcome taking special projects and additional tasks. One of the things we always say about Marlene is she is always asking, what's next? What can I do? And this quality is always so welcome and helpful. Marlene is committed to the department and continuously takes ownership of the work she does. She brings her knowledge, a good humor, and positive outlook to all the sites and people she works with. Marlene's professional experience and her customer-friendly attitude is a great asset to the department. So the Parks and Community Services Department would like to take this opportunity to thank Marlene for all her dedication, contributions to the department and to the city. Thank you, Marlene.
Marlene, would you like to say a few words?
I would, thank you. Well, thank you, Stacy, for all of those nice words and compliments. I'm a little bit overwhelmed with all that, but I love working for the city and the Parks Department. You know, going to all the different sites really keeps it interesting, keeps you on your toes about what you're doing at each site. But the best part is always the people that you work with of any job. They're the ones that really make, you know, your day. And everybody that I work with is just so amazing. They're kind, they're helpful, and they are so dedicated to the citizens and the city of San Ramon. They really strive to make everything that they do, a benefit to the community. And I get to enjoy that because I live in San Ramon. So, and I look really forward to being part of the new norm. What that's going to look like, we kind of don't know, but we'll get through it, and we'll, change, I'm sure, things along the way. But I'm really excited to be a part of it. So thank you again, Stacy, for this really personal recognition. I appreciate it very much.
Well, Marlene, the Parks and Community Service District certainly appreciates you. And we're so lucky to have you as a volunteer, or not a volunteer, but to work there. And I think your attitude and your enthusiasm and your work ethics are just exceedingly high. And so you help make our Parks and Community Services District an outstanding, and it's partly because of you. So we just want to thank you so much for your efforts that you put forth, because you are a very much highly a support for our Parks and Community Services. So we thank you for your service.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kathy.
All right, we're going to go on, and at this time, we're going to be recognizing our student commissioners. And at this time, I want to thank Commissioner Ramish for all your dedication and your excellent leadership that you've given. You've given such great leadership for the Teen Council this year. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have you recognize each of our your Teen Council commissioners. So if you would do that, but if you would relay, especially, I don't know if any of them are here or on with us, but to let them know that they have done an outstanding job this year through all this pandemic that we've had. And so again, our heartfelt thanks to you. And so if you would like to go ahead and say a few words and then introduce and thank our Teen Council members.
Thank you. First of all, I really want to take time to thank all of my fellow commissioners, as well as the city of San Ramon, for providing this opportunity for teens. I know that so many of the Teen Council members are extremely grateful that something like this exists, that they can actually get involved at such a young age in the government. So I'm really grateful for that. At this time, I'd like to recognize everyone else on the council. So first, I'd like to recognize Genevieve Thanamala, who is our vice chair. And then I'll just go down the rest of the list. Sanjay Anasuri, Risha Chakraborty, Sophie Cooper, Soham Kinhikar, Danielle Lee, Conrad Lin, Dia Madhawk, Sahithi Malreddy, Reha Matai, Rishi Mishra, Himajan Nimagata, Jose Sarmiento, Amina Syed, Kanishka Varoz, Daniela Wise, and our two alternates, Anya Ayapan and Pavitra Mova. So I know that a few Teen Council members will be watching this, and I just want to express my gratitude to the involvement that a lot of you demonstrated throughout the course of the year. Many of you I haven't even had the opportunity to meet in person. So it's really great to know that people are taking time out of the already unusual and stressful time that we're in right now to dedicate to something bigger than themselves and bigger than what they need to do in high school. So I couldn't be more grateful for the time that all of the Teen Council members put in, and also for the opportunity that I have to be a chair this year.
Thank you. And I'm sure that there are probably some commissioners that would like to say thank you also. And let's see, I got to get my get my people up here so I can see you. All right. I have Commissioner Osland.
Great. Student Commissioner Ramesh, it's been a pleasure to watch you in action at the Teen Council meetings. You have such poise and leadership skills and great command of communication, and you're always prepared and ready for the meeting and handle anything that comes your way. So I want you to know that I've really, truly enjoyed spending time serving on the Teen Council as a liaison for the commission and observing you in action. And you are on to some great, exciting times in your life, and please don't forget to stop by and say hi, because we all want to keep in touch with you, especially me. So thank you for all your hard work. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Constance Lee.
Thank you. So Amrita, before I joined again on the Parks Commission this session, I was on 5 years previously. So I've seen my fair share of chairs and all absolutely amazing. But I have to say, I was immediately struck by, and poise is a great word, Commissioner Osland, but your insightfulness, the fact that you were always engaged and yet you were very considered in your participation. So you really have truly impressed me. So you've done a fantastic job and I wish you much luck.
And Commissioner Ellicott Presley.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez Lucy. Student Commissioner Ramesh, I just want to also underscore and reiterate how incredibly impressed I am with you. I feel like everywhere I go, there you are. We meet each other across in the school district. She was instrumental in help planning several inclusion and diversity sessions, 2 of which are posted on the council's YouTube page. I encourage you to watch them. But we as the adults helped facilitate kind of a teeny bit in the background, but it was really Amrita and her folks that she partnered with, and she sourced. If she wasn't acting as a panelist or a moderator, she was helping source and organize other students to do that. So I really felt like she was instrumental in bringing the student interests and student voice through these opportunities to bring speakers to the San Ramon Valley. I've worked with her when we screened the Bias film earlier in the year when we partnered with Cal High to do that. I just keep bumping into her everywhere I go. And I am so incredibly, incredibly impressed by you, Amrita. I cannot wait to see what you do and where you go. You're poised and professional. You're thoughtful. The way you've been able to bring other people in is a true mark of a leader. It's one thing to lead. It's another thing to be able to share your leadership and make room for everybody, make the pie bigger, if you will. I really hope you'll keep in touch, and I would love to hear from you when you come back as to how it is, even if it's just through the school panels. But I am just deeply, and I see a lot of high school students. I have not had as much time with the teen council, although I've known a lot of them. But in terms of high school leaders and young people, I'm astounded by you. So good luck. And if you ever need anything, I will be first in line. And I have a feeling a lot of people on this call will be clamoring. If you need letters of recommendation, if you need advice and mentors. And the one small piece of advice I'm going to give you unsolicited is I've always found that finding people that are your touchstones in certain areas and keeping in touch with them, whether it's an ethical touchstone about a particular category. For me in law, I go to certain people. For other things, I go to certain people. Find people in your life to connect with and have them be your go-to people. And I have no doubt you will become one of those for many, many other people. But I think it is a really fundamental way that you can make a difference in and around the world and also continue to have the support you need to go do what you do. So thank you.
Our next commissioner to speak is Commissioner Dorlick.
Great, thank you. Great work. Enjoyed working with the teen council, and thanks for your participation on the commission. Best of luck, stay safe, be well.
And Commissioner Beerbaum.
Well, Commissioner Ramesh, I was struck by how thoughtful and well thought out questions that you posed during the commission meetings. And I also am very impressed with what you were able to accomplish with the Teen Council in this very challenging year. Reading through the accomplishments and things that you guys were able to do, you almost made it look like COVID didn't exist, and that really speaks volumes, because leadership is required in these very challenging times, and you stepped up. And I'm, very much excited for you as you take your next step. You're taking a big step to the Big Apple, from what I understand. And you know what? All the best to you. I am very confident that you will hit that, opportunity with the same great force and perseverance that you did as being the leader of the teen council. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for your many attributes, and we do wish you the best of luck in your college, and do keep in touch with all of us, because you've been an excellent leader, and it's been so nice working with you. So thank you.
If I might.
Yes, Ms. Hyman.
Well, two things. I think Commissioner Roberts might still want to speak.
Oh,
and
yes, I
one
do.
thing we want to show the plaque at the very end that we're going to be able to present to Amrita. So
Right. I'm sorry, Scott. I didn't.
Oh, it's okay. Thanks, Kathy, for seeing my hand up there. I just also wanted to chime in. It's always great to work with the student commissioners. I think that everyone in the past, and especially you, Amrita, have just been so fantastic to work with. I think you've made a really big difference in the community, really, and not just amongst your peers, but really in the whole community at large. I really appreciated your thoughtfulness, as others have mentioned. And really, at the end of the day, it's you really come up with a lot of great ideas. When things were sort of quiet in some of our meetings, you were outspoken and had some really interesting ideas, and it was I really appreciate that, and I can't wait to see you apply your leadership and those great ideas in your future endeavors. So, and hopefully maybe one day it'll be back here in San Ramon. I think that would be fantastic. And so, finally, I'll just say I think you really, truly have a bright future ahead of you, and good luck.
So if we might, we'd love to also show you the plaque that we would normally make a big to-do and present to you. But in this case, we wanted you to see, I think Amrita is going to stop by and pick it up, but it's beautiful plaques that you can take with you and hang on your college wall if you so desire. Anyways, thank you very much from the city staff. From my perspective, you have been an exceptional student commissioner, and it's been a really tough year, and you've led through it. So thank you so much for everything that you have done.
Thank you all so much for all your kind words.
You're certainly welcome. I think we've done 4.3 and 4.4 almost at the same time. So we will then move on to item number 5, which is public comment or written communication. And at this time, those in the audience are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Service Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Members of the public who are participating via Zoom will have the opportunity to make comments to the Parks and Community Service Commission live through the Zoom application. Comments should not exceed 3 minutes. Comments from the public under public comment may be also submitted by email to ctoman@sanramon.ca.gov. No commission action can be taken at this meeting on issues raised during public comment, whether submitted by email or Zoom. Written public comment emails must be submitted to the Park and Community Services Department prior to the commencement of the meeting. Reading of the public comment emails into the record by the recording secretary will be limited in duration to 3 minutes each. Madam Secretary, do we have speakers?
We have 8 in attendance, and we do not have anyone requesting to speak.
All right, thank you. Item 6 is approval of our minutes of our regular meeting of April 14th, 2021. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved. So moved.
Thank you. We have a second?
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the Parks and Community Service Commission regular meeting of April 14th, 2021. And we have to have roll call by our secretary.
Correct. Commissioner Dorlick,
Yes.
Commissioner Keniston Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Birnbaum,
Aye.
Commissioner Robert,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellicott Pethick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Oslin,
Aye.
and Chair Lopez Lucy.
Aye.
Thank you.
Our consent calendar at this time, I don't believe we have any consent items on the agenda. So now we will go to our commission business, which is 8.1. And that will be our teen council annual report. We will only need to accept this after the report and move it on to the council. And it will be introduced by Jennifer Galt, our recreation supervisor, and it will be presented, and then by Ms. Ramish will give our report, I'm sure. And so we have Jennifer, please.
Good evening, commissioners. Thanks for having us this evening. My name is Jennifer Galt with the Parks and Community Services Department. I'm excited to introduce Amrita Ramesh, the Teen Council Chair Student Commissioner, who's going to be presenting the annual report. The Teen Council had quite the interesting year being remote and having to navigate the pandemic and everything going on. They haven't even had a chance to meet in person. And she's done an amazing job leading the Teen Council this year. Teens were isolated at home. They were dealing with remote learning. They had all kinds of things going on. But Amrita had done such a wonderful job. Her hard work and dedication this year was just amazing. And, you know, it's not easy keeping everyone on task and engaged, especially remote. But she did a wonderful job, like you've all mentioned this evening. So now I'll turn it over to Amrita, who's going to be presenting the annual report. Thanks.
Thank you. So again, I'm Amrita. I am currently the Teen Council Chair and the Student Commissioner for this commission. I'm so grateful that the Parks Commissioners are taking time today to review what the Teen Council has been working on during this very unusual year, and I'm excited to share. So as a quick acknowledgement of our history, the Teen Council was founded 27 years ago in 1994. It is an advisory group of 17 teens who are passionate about the city, government, and the teen community. The Teen Council is chaired by me and vice chaired by Genevieve Fanamala, who will be our chair next year. These are the members and alternates that make up the Teen Council. So in the Teen Council, we have 3 different subcommittees: community outreach, programming, and public relations. The community outreach subcommittee focused on marketing and promoting our Teen Council initiatives throughout the year through the creation of flyers, in-class presentations, and more. Most notably, the community outreach subcommittee worked on the ambassador program this year, from recruiting and selecting applicants at the beginning of the year from different middle and high schools in our area, to coordinating ambassador meetings and creating a structure for the program. With our ambassadors, the subcommittee is working on a web series to showcase teen leaders in our community, mental health counselors, and other individuals and leaders who are pertinent to teen issues. The programming subcommittee focused on our current programs. While we would have usually carried out senior tech days in person, instead we transitioned to hosting a senior live lounge in partnership with the senior advisory committee to connect teens with isolated senior citizens. The programming subcommittee is also working on a video project to highlight locations in San Ramon for teens to visit, such as the City Center and Central Park. The last subcommittee is public relations. The PR subcommittee kicked off our year with the Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award. As we've said previously, this year we received a record of 24 applicants and we selected Vishak Aurora as the award recipient. The PR subcommittee is also working with the Alcohol and Drug Prevention Team, also known as ADAPT, and we hope to pursue programming with ADAPT in the future in an in-person format. Outside of our subcommittee, the Teen Council also engages in volunteer activities around the city. So we help promote the Teen Talent Showcase, which helps raise awareness for mental health through encouraging teen talent. We also helped our Santa this year as photographers and elves for Zoom with Santa. We also partnered with the student organization for the Leave No Trace Trail cleanup and engaged with the Parks Make Life Better cleanup days. Our teen council goals are the following. 1, research teen recreation opportunities, explore ways to support these opportunities and address new community needs. 2, research and execute partnerships with local organizations, businesses, and committees to promote teen wellness, mental health, and recreation, such as the Rock Band Showcase with a Brighter Day organization. 3, transition senior technology days to a virtual platform, Zoom, live streaming workshops, etc., and work to increase attendance by expanding promotional campaigns. 4, continue organizing workshops targeted at youth conferences such as She's All That, and look into expanding to additional youth groups such as Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and other organizations. 5, continue the Teen Council Ambassador Program and increase the involvement of the ambassadors at the Teen Council meetings and subcommittee meetings. Further develop the purpose and timeline of this program. 6, continue the Individual Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award and seek partnerships with local organizations. 7, expand the video project by encouraging subcommittees to film videos highlighting the San Ramon community and work closely with the City of San Ramon for video ideas and distribution. 8, explore ways to build relationships with the school district, high schools, middle schools, and leadership classes. And 9, establish a stronger social media presence for Teen Council using Instagram or other social media platform pages. Lastly, we'd like to take time to recognize our amazing seniors. So Sophie Cooper will be attending the University of San Francisco. I will be attending Barnard College. Daniela Wise will be attending Cornell University. Risha Chakraborty will be attending Yale University. Jose Sarmiento will also be attending Yale University. And Amina is still to be determined. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that good report. And you were very, very energetic. Do any of the commissioners want to speak at this time? Okay, I think I see. Okay, Commissioner Kenneth Stenley.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure this is the right time to say what I was going to say. Okay, so I love everything that you said. And I want to congratulate you guys on the increasing popularity of the ambassador program. You guys are continuing to gain momentum for that and figuring out what that means to be an ambassador, which isn't an easy task. And so I'm pleased to see that you guys are making segue there. And also the Teen Citizenship Award, because you guys had a lot of applicants this year, right? And so that's amazing because we need to celebrate teen citizenship. So I'm really impressed with that as well. Where I'd love to see Teen Council continue to have a voice and build a stronger voice is within the areas of inclusion and diversity. And I know some of you guys have been involved with the San Ramon Valley Diversity Coalition. I think that it's interesting in our community and in many communities, you know, teens end up leading adults sometimes. They end up setting tones. And, you know, years ago, I remember one of the things that we were so proud of the Teen Council for doing is establishing a smoking ordinance. Remember that? Where they like actually led the charge to have a healthy and stringent smoking ordinance. And that was like teens leading adults. And it was in some ways, and it was amazing. So the inclusion and diversity area, and also in terms of mental health and behavioral health, I believe that was one of the areas that, was it your ambassadors decided to focus on, or Teen Council in general decided to focus on? So I don't know, you know, there's a Contra Costa County Behavioral Health Crisis Initiative that our city manager is very involved with. And I don't know if it's worth looking at, is there a teen presence? Is it even appropriate? you know, I know I was just listening last night, and I'll tell you guys more about this later, to our fire district and our police department and our city talking about a health crisis pilot project for the city or for this area, for the valley. And I just would love to see our teens who struggle a lot with stress and mental health and behavioral issues be really present as a voice in that discussion. You know what I mean? I think that's really important. So I would love to see you guys continue with all your other stuff. And by the way, I love when you guys connect with seniors. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I know it's hard during the COVID crisis for you guys to have done it, but I love that you guys kept on it and you kept trying to make those connections. So that's good. So you guys are certainly an organization that we can be proud of, and it's exciting to see you guys continue to fulfill your goals. So I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. And now Commissioner Roberts, I didn't forget you this time.
Thanks, Chair Lopez Lucy. And I promise I was not sitting in the same room as Commissioner Kinnison Lee when I was reviewing this, because I think we have very similar notes and in terms of what I'm going to say here. But again, special recognition, thanks, and congratulations to Amrita for doing such a wonderful job representing the teen community in San Ramon, and the Community Outreach Subcommittee Chair, Risha Chakraborty, for your work in fine-tuning and strengthening the overall purpose of the Ambassador Program, which is really one of the most important things I believe you do as a group of young leaders. So thank you for that. You know, I think that setting the example to your fellow classmates, and maybe more importantly, to younger grade levels, is so impactful. So please continue that hard work on the Ambassador Program. I think it's truly one of the most important things that you do. I'm really interested to hear more about the Joint Ambassador Teen Council web series on improving mental health. I think that, you know, in the last few years, I've spent a lot of time, you know, researching and understanding teen mental health in our community, and I quite frankly, I think it's probably one of the most important things that we solve and work on. So that will be interesting, and so I think that's a great program and a great idea that you guys have come up with to try to I guess solve that issue, or at least work on it. And I also appreciate the work that you've done with our senior community, and I strongly recommend that the Teen Council continue the work being done to bridge the gap between the teen and senior population in San Ramon. As a liaison to the Senior Advisory Committee, I can tell you that you know, there are many you know, sort of connections that can be made, and I know that the Teen Council has done a lot of work previously and currently on sort of bridging that gap between the teen population and the seniors. But I really do think that you should continue that work. It's probably one of the strongest and most important partnerships that we have in this community, is between the teens and our seniors. And, you know, I understand, you know, that there wasn't a big response with the virtual program that you created with seniors, but I think, you know, between COVID, between, you know, seniors learning how to, you know, evolve with technology, I think if you continue down that path, I think that will change. But, you know, to be honest, you know, as we get back into more of an in-person situation, hopefully this year, I think seniors will appreciate the in-person touch, especially from our teen community. So hopefully we see that in the future. And, you know, I haven't really seen any teens or any liaisons from the Teen Council in our Senior Advisory Committee meetings. I know that's something that you guys aim to do. Now, it's possible that there's a time conflict because we do have, those meetings are at 10 a.m. on Mondays. So maybe there is a time conflict there, but if you could find somebody that can join those meetings, I think it would be very, very helpful. And I think that the Senior Advisory Committee would appreciate it very much. So again, congratulations to you, Amrita. Good luck to you. And thanks for all the hard work that you guys put into helping this city.
Thank you again. And going from what everyone has said, I think mental health, is extremely, because I remember reading in the applications that was such a need that they felt that there was, that was really one of them that I encourage you certainly to emphasize that. And I think it will take time and probably in person, like you say, it will be easier for seniors to be attentive to of your work. So again, thank you. So if we have no further comments, we will then continue on.
Do we want to accept the report and move it forward to the city council?
Yes, we just need to accept it and move it on to the city council. So someone want to?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, you want to take our vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Dorlick,
Yes.
Commissioner Keniston Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Birnbaum,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesek,
Aye.
Vice Chair Oslin,
Aye.
and Chair Lopez Lucy.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving right along this evening. So we have next is 8.2, our Open Space Advisory Committee Annual Report. And I believe, Kathy, you will be introducing our speakers.
Absolutely. So I just see him coming in here, but it is my pleasure to introduce the Open Space Advisory Committee Annual Report. It came across really loud and clear, I think you would all say, in our Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan, that trails are very important to this community. And I think really open space
For some people.
became even more important during the pandemic, as the need for people to get outside and be able to have some space around them and recreate was, really, we're going to go, that was essential. You needed that ability. And so suddenly trails and open space became a real focal point for lots of people that maybe hadn't experienced it or hadn't really thought very much about those beautiful hills that surround our community. So despite the challenges this year with the pandemic, I am really very pleased with all of the great work that the committee, in partnership with city staff from all the departments really, but from city staff from Public Works, Community Development, the City Manager's Office, and Parks and Community Services has been able to accomplish. So I'm pleased to introduce our chairperson of the committee, John Miklos, and he will present the report and hopefully be able to answer any questions you might have. So I see John there, but we can't see you. So you have to turn that camera on, John. There he is.
Hi. Thank you, members of the Parks and Community Services Commission, for the opportunity to speak with your distinguished group this evening. I am John Miklos and pleased to represent the members of the Open Space Advisory Committee. San Ramon is an outstanding place to live, and I commend the Parks and Community Services Commission for truly outstanding work in achieving the highest standards for the benefit of our citizens. The Open Space Advisory Committee, as per our charter, provides input to the City Council on various matters affecting the quality of life for all the inhabitants of our community. It gives me great pleasure to report our work product for 2020 and our agenda plans for 2021. Before we get to the slides, I want to shower huge kudos to Kathy Hyman and Christy Tolman for all their support and assistance. Thanks so much, Kathy and Christy. Really appreciate it. Now, let's go to the slides. So here we have members are myself, Lorraine Kalick, Vice Chair, Bob Peoples, Sally Scholl, Seth Adams, Eric Wallace, Don Birnbaum, and Henry Perez Alonso. The city council liaisons are Councilmember Scott Perkins and Councilmember Barros. Next slide, please. We had multiple 2020 presentations from outside agencies. These included the East Bay Regional Park District, the John Muir Land Trust, and Save Mount Diablo. We had staff presentations on a number of topics. Near and dear to our heart, I highlight the Old Ranch Open Space Trail update, the open space map review. There was a lot of attention to the laborer's property, and I think that that overall is a tremendous success story for the city of San Ramon. And there were multiple San Ramon Trails logo and San Ramon Trails updates, as well as we had some hikes that got COVIDed out, but it was also a very positive year for staff preservations for 2020. Next slide, please. So to consolidate our thoughts regarding 2020 accomplishments, an outreach subcommittee was formed. It made contact with open space groups in the region, and we ended up with presentations from the John Muir Trust and from Save Mount Diablo. Liaisoned with East Bay Regional Park District for their current vision for trails, connectivity, and then land acquisition. We updated the database for the open space, and we had many new programs that unfortunately got COVIDed out. I'm very happy to tell you what we did accomplish, and some of those have just been pushed forward into 2021. You'll be hearing about that later. But what we did accomplish in 2020, pleasantly pleased with that. Next slide, please. It's always interesting to educate the committee and the community on open space within and contiguous to San Ramon. We had the Outer Spatial Trail app, and that was a big success. There's additional information on the city website. We received a presentation on stormwater and drainage and its relationship to open space. Somewhat a surprise with all the drought and all the lack of rain and moisture that we have, but it's still a factor. And the picture to the right of West Alamo Creek certainly shows one of those drainage swales. There were 2 open space led hikes in 2020, a Creekside to Old Doherty in January and the Alamo Creek hike in February. Both included 40 participants. Next slide, please. We did not get involved in any development projects. However, the city council did issue a letter of support for the Tassajara Parks open space project. We did identify ways to implement the recommendations identified in the Parks, Trails, Open Space, and Recreation Master Plan. And as Kathy had said in the introduction, this master plan prioritizes trails, open space, and connectivity. And it's very clear from the accomplishments of this commission that, as well as input from citizens, that the citizens of San Ramon love their parks, love their trails, and love their open spaces. Next slide, please. Some other 2020 accomplishments, including trail enhancements, including publicity, signage, connections, and trail quality. I want to commend the staff for making the move from easy to hike. They went out of business very quickly regarding some of their COVID-related issues. Seamlessly, staff, the city has migrated to outer spatial. And already during the first quarter of 2021, they've been viewed over 5,000 times. I think that's a fantastic transition, and I think that shows a lot of interest from the citizens of San Ramon. In the past, the city partnered with Sports Basement And I am optimistic that whether it's Sports Basement and or other companies, we can find ways to have a public-private partnership to lead hikes, bike rides, and trail maintenance. So that's something that was happening in 2020, and we are in the process of reloading for that. Staff are also researching, working with nonprofits like the East Bay Trail Dogs in particular. Our most recent meeting, we had an update on that. So I'm pleased with the progress that the East Bay Trail Dogs have made in helping do some of the work on some of the trails. Next slide, please. One of the key points in our society today has to do with analytics and metrics. What we worked on in 2020 and we're continuing to move forward in 2021 are defining and measuring the city's open space and trail system. We have over 50 miles of trails and over 3,200 acres of open space. And we are working toward meeting our general plan parks and recreation element so that we would have 6.5 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents. So it's very simple the way that we're approaching things. We need to understand what we have right now. We need to understand that and mandated by the city council that 6.5 acres is a very strong recommendation from the city council, so that moving forward, that's our goal. And we want to work jointly with all to find ways to continue to have adequate parkland for all the citizens of San Ramon. Next slide, please. For summarizing 2021 goals, there's 3 basic categories that I draw your attention to. Protection and preservation of open space in the city's planning, management and use of that open space, and then encourage the outreach and education about open space related issues. By the way, can we go back to the previous slide? That I referenced the laborers union property. That is an outstanding photo, really shows some striking property. And that's a true success story of the city working very smoothly and efficiently over a series of years to bring that under the control of the city of San Ramon. So kudos to all. That's just a great example of good things happening. Next slide, please. Goal number 1, protection and preservation of open space in the city's planning area. I referenced earlier talking about, in effect, the metrics and mapping and the criteria for establishing priorities in terms of what space and how we can meet this goal. We are looking toward understanding also the ways and means in terms of there are certain development fees, there are certain other revenue sources available to the city. It's our goal to identify and evaluate the feasibility of potential funding sources, and then allow the city council to do their job to acquire and preserve open space per their decisions and per how they want to proceed. So we are an advisory committee. And at the same time, we want to provide fact-based information to particularly the city council, but to all residents of San Ramon, so that we can preserve and protect our open space. Next slide, please. That's additional information regarding the particular open space and trail enhancements. And for example, we are part and parcel, one of our current topics has to do with the anticipated growth of housing units in San Ramon and how those housing units can be steered toward infill type locations as compared to putting pressure on any of our sacred vistas and other open space. Currently under discussion, let's just say it gets a lot of attention. Next slide, please. Goal number 2, management and use of the open space. We see that East Bay Regional Park District is a tremendous ally in terms of master planning and trail connectivity. Great kudos to them in terms of their ability to help us and to work with our people. So that's been great. And overall, from a standpoint of the management and use of open space, we want to find opportunities to link our trails to those of neighboring jurisdictions, as well as the open space partners that were mentioned previously, so that it becomes a regional, almost holistic approach above and beyond just San Ramon itself. Next slide, please. Certain community partners to assist in the establishment, funding, improvement, and promotion of the city trail system. We have some ideas on that. That's what we're working on. We want to complete the trail from Old Ranch Park to Dublin border, and that would be with a link of continuation of the trail in Dublin. And then there are a number of other specific areas that we are spending our time and efforts on, which would identify, research, and evaluate options for trails connections. This gets a lot of input from citizens. This gets a lot of input from city staff, and we're very happy to work through these particular matters. I'm hopeful that next year, when this presentation is made, we will talk about progress and or specific improvements for these particular bullet points. Next slide, please. Always very important has to do with the outreach and education about open space. We would like to move with our regional space advocate friends and agencies to develop and enhance partnerships and work toward the best practices as, in effect, network for the greater good of everything that's happening. We want to continue to use the open space webpage and outer spatial app to include additional information so that our outer spatial app is relevant, it's timely, and it's definitely used by people. And obviously we want to improve the usage of the app by the community. Next slide, please. So from a standpoint of the committee is always in effect growing, changing, whatever. We want to develop an orientation program for the new open space advisory committee members in the future, as well as other interested parties. We think that's real important. We want to get to the concept of institutional knowledge so that our time frame needs to be decades. We need to be thinking about flora and fauna today and flora and fauna for the next generation and the generation after that. Next slide, please. Certainly, and this is part of why we're talking tonight, we want to collaborate with the Parks and Community Services Department to offer educational events focused on open space, including led trail hikes. I'm certainly very open to comments, input from this distinguished group of people. We have on our calendar upcoming lead trail hikes. So you can see May 22nd, right around the corner. Croyle Run to Doherty Valley Ridge. That's going to be a tough one. We have June 12th, Monarch Loop Trail Hike. July 10th, Rolling Hills Loop Trail Hike. And then August 7th, the Coyle Run. All of those are open for signups. We would love to see members of this commission participate, and that invitation is always open for joining any and all of these lead trail hikes. Next slide, please. And there we have it. Any questions, comments? I'm happy to answer anything that comes up.
All right, we have some questions here for you. We have Commissioner Dorlick.
Great, thank you. Enjoyed the presentation, great depth, and like the fact that you're looking at analytics. So speaking of that, the new app, Outer Spatial, you mentioned it's been viewed a little bit over a mile, 5282. But those probably aren't discrete views. So do you know how many licenses, how many instances of the app have been downloaded by San Ramon residents?
Can I help you out, John?
Please.
You know what? Actually, that data was from the very first quarter of the use. So we put it in October. So that was actually October, November, December of last year. And so it's been climbing steadily. So my understanding is those were people who downloaded the app. So I can get new analytics. We haven't had a report lately, so we can definitely bring that forward to the commission in the rec report.
Oh, so you mean 5282 downloads of the app, not views?
Yeah, I believe that's what that was, that initial
Oh,
get-go
okay.
of it. So it's not the people on the trail as much as it was the people who got the app to use it.
Right, that's what I'm, yeah, I mean, if it was 5282, views and it was 3 people, viewing it, as opposed to over 5,000 people downloading the app, then the adoption rate wouldn't be as impressive. Great, thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right, our next Commissioner Beerbaum.
Well, John, first of all, great job in presenting the work of the committee. Having, being a liaison to the committee, it's been a great experience working with all of the participants. Open space is a very, very important part of the overall long-term plan for the city as far as its parks and, recreation. And, I commend you and the other participants in, the work that you guys have been doing in, trying to get to the facts and trying to also do the outreach to the other groups in our area, because doing open space by yourself is not going to achieve anything. And quite frankly, we have a member of our committee, Seth Adams, who is a member of Save Mount Diablo, who has really helped us truly understand the importance of, 1 + 1 equals a lot more. And, the hard work that you guys have done in trying to connect with East Bay Regional Parks and with Save Mount Diablo and just connecting with all of our neighbors is just, I think you've laid the groundwork for some really good collaboration, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much for the kind words. It's truly a team approach. Lorraine Kalik is our vice chair. We have excellent input from our members, and including very much positive input from you, Commissioner Birnbaum. So thank you for the kind words. And we have a true treasure. There was a Hall of Fame for conservationists. I think Seth Adams is a first ballot nominee. I think he gets in there. He's done such a great job. So his ability to find time to help with San Ramon related issues, highly appreciated and very positive for the flora and the fauna, as well as the citizens of the East Bay.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Commissioner Osland.
John, thank you for a great presentation. And I learned some new things. I loved what you said, COVID it out. I had to write that one down. I love that. Those photos in your presentation are absolutely beautiful. And I hope we get those spread around in all of our public relations materials for the city of San Ramon, because it's just beautiful and it just really captured the beauty of our open spaces here in San Ramon. I just love the goals that you accomplished last year, and I love the goals that you have set for this year. Continue to enhance partnerships. Keep leading those hikes. I've done many of those in the past, and I always meet new people. I see new turf, and it's just such a great community builder and fun and informative. So keep them coming. And I'm really excited about your open space advisory committee goals for 21, especially the development of the open space protection progress report for publication and distribution. So if I'm understanding this correctly, this will be the first go round in 2021, and it'll be built upon. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. It's really great. Wonderful. So keep up the great work. You've got a great committee, and it's very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind words as well, Vice Chair Osland. I want to touch on two particular comments that you brought up. One is the photos. We continue to get tremendous positivity, and they're spectacular. Kathy, do you have the background? I believe those photos are actually City of San Ramon property. So that could you help us? Because
Yeah.
I'm sure that others on this meeting today would be certainly open to being able to see the entire gallery.
Yes, in fact, those were commissioned by the city from Stephen Joseph, who's commonly known kind of as this region's Ansel Adams. And so it was, you might remember a couple of years ago, we started the conversation, and then we had to wait until the timing, the weather, his time, and the clouds were just right. And he hiked all over our hills and took the beautiful selection of photos. There are more than that, but they were great to be able to use in the annual report so you could get a peek at them.
Great, thank you. The second point I'd like to get back to the Vice Chair would be, it's a slightly personal philosophy on my part. I believe in the 3 C's in terms of problem solving and or building for the future, and which would be confidence, communication, and connectivity. So from a standpoint of, as the Open Space Advisory Committee works toward its goals and works toward achieving its role as a advisory to the City Council, we have meetings like this. We have input from the Parks and Community Services. We have input from citizens so that we know, we are confident that these are important matters that we're dealing with. From a communication standpoint, there's communication, there's outreach, there's communication within the committees, there's communication with other committees and outside interests, many stakeholders, so that this connectivity will then allow a lot of people to address the issues of our day and just make our world better for the future. It's really that simple, and that's what we're working towards. So thanks again for your very kind comments.
Well, thank you, John. That was fabulous.
All right, thank you. Our next Commissioner Heidi Ellicott Pesky. Where are you? There you are.
I didn't actually raise my hand, so I'm not sure if
Okay.
you're calling
All
on
right.
somebody else. I think it's Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Well, I know I have her down here too, but I thought I saw your hand go up too.
Sorry.
All right. And so we will go to our other Heidi. So yes.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to start just by saying, Commissioner Birnbaum, thank you for your dedicated service, serving as our liaison to the Open Space Committee. I know that any job that you're given, you're going to do it wholeheartedly. And I've always felt like we were very lucky to have you on Open Space. So thank you. So that was one thing. Don't let it go to your head. No. The second thing is, I have a couple questions and I'm going to wrap up with some comments. One question, and I think I know what this means, but John, maybe you can explain to us, what is a social trail segment? What is that? If you were to define that, what does that mean?
Social trail segment.
It was in the reading.
I'm happy.
I think Kathy has a really good answer for this. I can tell. I know she's got it.
Okay.
Yeah, a social trail are those trails that weren't planned by anybody And so, the people walk over the path and walk over it and walk over it and walk over it, and they create a trail. So that is termed a social trail because it wasn't a planned trail, but they show a route. And so oftentimes permanent trails are made where social trails are created.
Kathy, you know everything. Thank you. Okay.
She really
And then-
does. She really
Yeah,
does.
she's awesome. Yeah.
I'd like to watch Jeopardy with her sometime. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then maybe for Commissioner Birnbaum, I know that you've mentioned in the past the idea of having open space acreage count, and you mentioned it in your presentation, John, a bit, having open space acreage count toward our service level of 6.5 acres to 1,000 residents. I see some logic and some value in that, maybe not an acre per acre basis, but can you just take a minute and explain to us what the benefit of that is?
So from a standpoint of most recent, and then let's just go big picture. For most recent, I don't have the studies in hand, but earlier in this meeting, there was a lot of conversation regarding the importance of mental health, the importance of the ability of people to get out, to not have the stresses involved with issues related to COVID and a pandemic and whatever. There are a multitude of studies. Like I said, I don't know them all, but in effect, the more space, the more ability for people to be out in nature and tie in. I think that's just, not only is it intuitive, there have actually been a lot of measurements of that. So from that standpoint, I think it's really important. I'd say the second part in terms of the analytics and metrics, and I don't want to overstep my bounds, but we are comparing not only San Ramon with the 6.5 acres per 1,000 residents to what our goals are. We're looking at neighboring communities. We're looking at communities across the United States. We've had that information brought into our meetings. So from a standpoint of, that's a great idea. Maybe I need to get have a wellness type of person come in and just reinforce how important open spaces are. But we want to have it so that the city of San Ramon is not only meeting its goals of 6.5, we're actually showing leadership, not only for the Bay Area, but also for the United States as a whole. I'm this close to being a tree hugger myself, so that the more space that we have, the more openness, whatever, I truly believe that that meets the, contributes to our quality of life.
Don?
Well, just to add to that, let's be real. For us to reach that 6.5 acres per 1,000, we don't have the acreage available within the city limits. Okay, we do have a lot of open space and a lot of access to open space, and we've been told by the public that they value that. So why not in the city charter or in the city master plan, it specifically does not count any open space in that 6.5 calculation. So I've been a strong advocate that we need to go back and take a look at that and say, if the public values our open space, if the public uses our open space and they view that as recreation, why don't we count that towards that value? And by doing that, we can also put resources against it. So we can put potentially money for staging areas, money for, other kinds of things, trail maintenance and things like that, that will add to the value. So I'm a strong advocate that the city needs to go back and look at that. And I believe that the master plan that we just completed supports that. And so, and I haven't heard anybody from anybody on the city council or any of the commissioners say, no, that's a stupid idea. It's just a matter of, we need to figure out how we value it. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but there is some form of, some way of putting some value at it. Yeah. Okay. And whether we change the 6.5 acre number and within that 6.5, we also say, we want 2 acres for, for local parks, and we want, we've classified it. I just think we need to have a additional classification called open space.
That's exactly, Don, what I was looking for. No, I wasn't questioning the value of open space because huge advocate, but the case being made for the calculation, that's what I was getting at. And so Don, you mentioning categories and then being able to allocate resources, that's sort of the nugget I was trying to get to. So thank you for that. So I'm going to wrap up on good stuff because I love the momentum that open space and the open space advocates in our community are having. The credibility that you guys have fostered has been amazing. I love seeing that. I love having seen the focus and increase on collaboration, the focus on connectivity. I love that you guys are coordinating with other agencies. I think that's amazing. I'm really impressed with the use of technology. And yes, Kathy and her team being able to pivot to outer spatial is awesome. But also using, enhanced GIS and also using the QR codes and things like that. I mean, it's celebrating technology to appreciate nature. And I think that's a beautiful combination. So I'm really impressed with that. I do think, I guess as a final note, that this upcoming general plan update, which I understand will probably, Kathy, be about a 2-year span, that is the opportunity to really do some heavy lifting, I think, in the open space area, right? This is an area to see where we can really show how we value open space in our community. And I'm certain that you guys will be active participants in that process, I would assume. But I'm interested to see how open space is folded into the general plan update. So I'm sure it's on John's radar screen and everybody's radar screen to take a look at that. But, I love San Ramon and I love the green. I just love the open space. It just is so good for our health, as you say. And I'm really impressed with the progress that the advisory committee has made and that the city has made in general with the help of folks like Phil Alone and all the folks who have really been out there and said, this is important to our community. This is sort of a shared value that it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. It's something that people can get around. It's a real feel good and it helps with the overall health of our community. So thank you, John, for all your work. We appreciate it.
Very well said. And I just, on behalf of the committee, but yet on behalf of the citizens, I really like the way you phrased shared value. It's a shared value. That's the common denominator of people that choose to live in San Ramon. I do want to reference, I had a presentation to the city council recently. It was incredibly energetic and motivating with how positive not only Mayor Hudson, but all the city council members were in terms of talking about their commitment to open space, their buy-in with what we're trying to do, and their, in effect, the mantra was go team go and make more good things happen in the future. So I'm very happy to be part of this enormous movement, and clearly I pass it on back to the Parks and Community Services Committee. You guys do a great job in terms of really continuing to walk the walk in this whole thing.
Thank you. We do have a couple more speakers. Commissioner Roberts.
Thank you, Chair Lopez Lucy. Thanks, John, for a wonderful, very enlightening presentation. And again, as everyone said, congrats on your amazing accomplishments. I love your comments around trails and connections. Open space really for me, and I think I can speak for a lot of people in this community, is really a fundamental fundamental to that overall equation, right? That equals quality of life here in San Ramon. So thanks for everything that you do. And as Commissioner Birnbaum mentioned, thanks for sifting through, working with, and providing the facts, and doing everything that you can to protect and preserve this in this community. I also appreciate your goals around analytics and metrics, like you talked about. I think this is really the first thing I searched for when I first read through the presentation. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are going to be sort of working on this and improving this going forward. You know, that 3,261 acres of open space is such an important number to monitor, protect, and preserve from a metrics perspective. And I know that number is dynamic, and it is a very dynamic number. But I think from a committee managerial standpoint, as well as an educational standpoint, a possible suggestion might be to create a few pie charts to go along with your presentation that sort of help visualize, the 3,200 acres. Maybe, where was it 10 years ago, today, and maybe expected acreage over the next 10, 20, 30 years from now, and really give a visual perspective as to, here's the open acreage. This is what we're sort of, in that same pie chart, what's, I guess, targeted for use from all the connections and trails and everything that we've been talking about. And I just think it would just from a an educational standpoint, give people a little bit more of a visual of your goals, what you're trying to protect and preserve in that way. So it's just, I know that City Council has already have seen this presentation, but and maybe future presentations, maybe adding something like that could be helpful.
That is excellent feedback. We are current, and I didn't want to get into too much detail of some of the things that we're working on, but in particular, there's a map that's dated 2013 that shows what the status of open space and a variety of other things were in San Ramon. Unfortunately, we've not been able to find any updates to that. So part of the protect and preserve is going to be, let's update that 2013, which is the last visual aid that we've got, to then show what we've got in, say, 2021, as well as then hopefully use that as a springboard so that if there's a goal for, say, 2030, we could then highlight some areas and, in effect, help draw attention to what we would see would be some priority targets. So that's great input, and that's a very specific way that we're trying to implement that right now.
Fantastic. It's good to hear. Good to hear.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorlick, you have an additional comment?
Yeah, please. Thank you. So I just wanted to kind of bring a couple of things together from our past special meeting with the City Council. And Commissioner Birnbaum, thanks for that great analysis. But I also wanted to point out that, I mean, when this metric of 6.5 acres per thousand was established, I don't believe it's ever been met. That's number one. So it's still, a reach. Number two, when it was established, we had a lot more open space. It was called Doherty Valley. So, it wasn't, as much of an issue, but it may seem antithetical. But as we talk about the further housing stock development within San Ramon, the open space becomes even more of a partnership together as that happens. I mean, and if you look at the smart growth principles, which the Summerhill Development even mentioned in their preface, there are words such as healthy, prosperous, resilient, equity, and the open space that is created in partnership with that development is critical to our smart growth principles, because open space is a part of it. You increase the density of the housing, but you manifest the open space even more. So I think we need to, keep that in mind, that, the open space is not just, critical for, having it around our community. It's critical that as our arena numbers and our housing numbers continue to grow, that open space becomes a very critical component that complements and works together as you do have the development. So I think it's not divorced from each other. Many people might think it's a clash between increased housing stock and open space, when in fact they are partners in creating an environment that is conducive to both. So I wanted to make that clear. And it makes all the sense in the world to include the open space area and acreage within the park area because of the usage and because it contributes to that open space feeling around it as we do find ourselves in a little bit more dense development environment. So they're partners, they're not antithetical. And I think that's an important thing to realize.
I totally agree. I think those are very constructive comments. I'll reference two of the topics that you brought up. In a prior life, I was involved in some environmental type projects where there were wetlands, and then there was the concept of a wetland mitigation, and in effect, there were banking of resources and the ability to do some other things. I'm not saying specifically we can do that here. All I'm saying is let's get the facts established with what we have. I love the concept of smart growth, but then I find that I want to find ways that we can all, as a community, solve very difficult problems, but yet it also is the betterment of that community itself. So I agree with what you're talking about. I think there's a lot of opportunities. One of the things that's very important to me personally, as well as professionally, is I enjoy fact-based conversations, and then reasonable minds can work toward a resolution. I like the prior comments regarding Phil Alone. I like the prior comments regarding Seth Adams. There are a number of pioneers that started this ball rolling a long time before me. And it's that same momentum, once again, fact-based, but yet working in conjunction with all the different parts of our community. I think that's very, very viable long-term. So thanks for the great input. Great input.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. Your report was excellent, and it just gave us so much information. And I think we've given you a lot of suggestions and comments. So I think in summation of everybody here, I mean, I agree with what they've said. I don't think it's that I should be repeating everything, but I just commend you for the work you're doing and how open space is remarkable. I come from the Midwest, and I've always had lots of space around me. So I love the open space and to the trails and everything. But I think the committee is doing a great job, and your goals and whatever are just outstanding. So I just want to thank you so much, and hopefully that we've given you some suggestions that you'll carry on. And we am sure the Parks and Community Service District will work very closely with the open space. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And I want to be really clear that it's a team effort from the standpoint of the Open Space Advisory Committee. I just happen to be the spokesperson tonight. There's a lot of people on that committee, as well as a lot of staff in this city that do a fantastic job. So thank you so much for that. I just happen to be the one making the presentation tonight. But and I also want to flip it right back to my sincere, deep respect for the Parks and Community Services Commission. Please continue your wonderful leadership role in all the things you do. It's been great to hear about some of the things just tonight, and please continue, and know that we are partners in the future and the quality of life based upon all the good people on this Zoom call, as well as all the others. I'm really optimistic about the future. So I just wanted to return all those nice compliments with saying very much appreciated the work that your team does as well.
Well, thank you. All right, that was good information, and I really appreciate that. I think now we will go to 8.3. And that is our Art and Wind Festival update. And I believe that will be by Stephen Cox. And we're here for you, and you're on, Stephen.
Yes, and I'm going to give just a couple of introductory comments to this topic, because this has been quite a journey for our department to kind of not put on the Wind Festival, retrench it into a whole new idea, figure out what the issues were with COVID, the county, the state, and try and rebundle it back for you. And so I'm excited about what we've got to share. In a normal year, all of this would have been completed much further in advance. However, as we all know, this year just has not been normal. And so at the point that we got the final agreements, logistics, and schedule, we're all still being finalized. Your packet was already ready to be posted and had to be sent out. So I do apologize that we were unable to put the document we're going to share with you this evening in your packets, but Christy has it at the ready. And as soon as the meeting's over, she's going to hit send on an email. So you will all have that at your fingertips. As we move forward, we need you to be our ambassadors, and we're going to need you to share this information because it's so exciting and it's what we're going to do this year, and we want everyone to know. I do also want to say that this project has involved all of our Parks and Community Services staff. Usually our events team kind of handles it, but in this case, it took an entire department effort because we had to spread these activities out so in order to keep people separated. So it's been a different kind of challenge. I also have to give kudos to our Public Works Parks staff because they also lent a hand and stepped in to help us figure out some of the logistics for the things that we wanted to do for the community. And so, like I said, it did present some pretty significant challenges as we tried to meet with the health guidelines. It's been a bit of a push and a pull as we really want people to participate. So that's the inkling of Parks and Community Services. Let's bring everybody here and have a big gathering, except for don't. So it's like we move forward and we move back, we move forward and we move back. But I'm so happy with the program that has been developed. It really has put together programs that we can do in the park that keep people socially distanced, things you can do at home, things you can do elsewhere. And so really, this is Steve's baby. So I want to let me hand it off to Steve. He can tell you about all the different things that we're going to do this year. And again, you will be receiving the flyer that he's going to share in your email box. So if after you get a chance to dig into it more, you have questions or concerns, of course, you can always reach out to me. So let's take it away, Steve.
Well, thank you, Kathy. I do want to thank Chair Lopez Lucy and the rest of the Park Commission for having me back tonight. As mentioned, my name is Steve. I'm the Recreation Supervisor and the lead staff for the Art and Wind Festival. But I'm very pleased to be back tonight to provide information on this year's upcoming Art and Wind Festival Spirit Week. So as you see, it'll be taking place May 25th through May 31st this year. And as you're aware, the format of the Art and Wind Festival has planned for this Memorial Day weekend had to change due to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic and under the guidelines provided by the state of California and the Contra Costa County regarding the large community events. So in lieu of the traditional Art and Wind Festival, the city of San Ramon is very happy to be able to celebrate the spirit of the festival by providing a variety of activities throughout the week that can be done virtually, that we're going to be able to offer for people to do at home or at a San Ramon park or at a facility. And so we're very happy that we're going to be able to still provide activities for the community to participate. As Kathy mentioned, our staff worked across departments and divisions to offer a broad array of activities for the whole community to participate in. And it was important that the activities were created for all ages and could take place in a variety of ways throughout the community to really spread everybody out and still honor the spirit of the Art and Wind Festival. Additionally, I do want to make sure we recognize and give special thanks to Chevron for their generous contribution that is helping and allowing us to offer the Art and Wind Festival Spirit Week. And it really provided us an opportunity to plan so many wonderful activities for the community. So that also, that partnership with Chevron has helped us be able to move forward with the Art and Wind Festival Spirit Week. And this information, as you're seeing for the first time here, this is the front of the flyer. We do want to make sure that we are conveying this understanding to our community, that we are very excited that we're going to be able to bring back the full festival, as it says, the San Ramon Art and Festival, back with you in 2022. So, you know, we this year are taking the approach that this is the spirit of the Art and Wind Festival through a spirit week of events or activities, and then we'll be back in 2022. I did want to also highlight there that we are going to have our Art and Wind Festival Spirit swag bag that we know we're going to be able to pass out to the community starting May 26th from the San Ramon Community Center. And some of the items that we're going to be able to provide in that through that bag is the commemorative bag itself. We're going to have our Art and Wind kite kit that we traditionally are able to give out at the festival. We're going to have your own do-it-yourself craft kits. We're going to have a wish tree, an origami kite that I'll go into a little bit more once we get into the schedule of events. And then these other items as well. So it'll be important for those who want to come and pick up that swag bag that they'll be able to get these items and then take it back into the community and participate with those items, either virtually in one of their local parks or coming out to Central Park or one of the other facilities. With that, I would like to introduce our schedule of events. So Christy, if you can take us to the second page. So, we are very happy that we were able to provide what we believe is a robust variety of offerings, and that was really important, that if we were going to honor the spirit of the festival, that we'd be able to provide many different kinds of activities in different formats. And so for the first part, when we do post it on the website, as you see at the top, many of these activities will be able to be done virtually as well. So if you come to and pick up the swag bag, you'll also be able to go back to the website and have a tutorial on how to do some of those crafts that you get in that swag bag. We're going to also have other things listed in activities that people could do from home. So it was really a variety of ways to facilitate this Art and Wind Festival Spirit Week. So I did want to go through a couple of the items here that we have listed. So we really will kick off this Spirit Week on Tuesday, May 25th. And we will be giving a similar presentation at the City Council meeting, along with a reading by the Poet Laureate who has and is creating a Art and Wind tribute poem. So we're very excited to be able to do that. In addition, we also have, and if you haven't been to the San Ramon Community Center, we're going to be showing our kites from the Weifang delegation that came back in 2015. And we had 6 representatives from Weifang, China. They brought over a variety of kites, and that's where they host one of the largest kite festivals in the world. And they brought their kites and actually that year provided them to San Ramon and then allowed us to keep those kites. And so they're actually going to be on display in the lower gallery there at the Lindsay Dirks Brown Art Gallery, along with about 14 commissioned pieces of art that we've had for the Art and Wind Festival throughout the years. So it'll really be a great opportunity to come into the community center, at any time, as the community members want to come in and take a look at all the different wonderful kites that were provided when the Weifang delegation visited San Ramon, but also to see all the different artwork over the years that have been commissioned by and for the Art and Wind Festival. So we're excited to do that. And as you see, as we broke down on this calendar is, we do have some things that there's a time listed, such as the City Council meeting, which will start at 7. It'll be a virtual meeting, and then followed by this other item, which is our presentation in the Lindsay Dirks Brown Art Gallery, where you can come in at any time all week during regular operational hours. And this will even include and be displayed throughout the Art and Wind Festival, which the community center itself will be open over that Memorial Day weekend. So if you don't get a chance to come on Tuesday, or you can come Wednesday, but really we wanted to make it available for anybody to come at their own convenience. So it's a passive event, but if you want to see that artwork, it will be displayed. Then we go to Wednesday. We're very excited. That's where we're going to offer the Art and Wind Festival Spirit swag bag and the kite kit pickup. And so you're going to get the commemorative bag along with several different items for activities that you could do at home or take out to your park, or come to Central Park, but it'll provide all those items that you have or would like to see. Plus, we'll have those also listed on the website. And once again, while it does start Wednesday, May 26th, we will be able to provide those swag bags while supplies last through the end of the festival or Spirit Week. And then also, once you come in to pick up your swag bag, we're going to have a decorative backdrop. So we hope that as a community member comes in, they can take a picture in front of our spirit wall there that we have and they'll have kites around it. People will be able to post that onto social media, and that'll be there throughout the Spirit Week as well. So people can come in and, take a picture and post it. Once again, it's a passive item somebody can do on their own, but it'll be available to them. And the other item we're going to have there, many of you are probably familiar with the wish tree that currently resides outside of City Hall. We are going to move that over to our San Ramon Community Center. And Kathy actually helped with this idea, but it was a great idea. We were gonna have origami kites for people to make. And in this case, you'll be able to take one of those origami kites that you get from the swag bag, and you'll be able to write your wish inside the kite. And then we'll have a little area to collect those, and then we'll be hanging those on the wish tree. And so it'll really be something that people can probably put. I'm sure many wishes will be that we hope that this current pandemic comes to a conclusion, but other wishes there that people want to post, and then it'll be there to be hung on the wish tree. So those items will be there accessible, but once again, it'll be available for the community at their own accord when they can come down, when they can do these things. So once again, very passive, so people can do it without, and what we're really looking at is letting people make their own schedule on how they can enjoy these items that we're providing. And then Thursday, we are going to have a day where we're going to have both. You'll get sidewalk chalk in the swag bag. And so we're encouraging people that if they want, we'll have a designated area in Central Park that people can do their own decorative sidewalk chalk art, or if they want to do it at home, and have you seen some of these where people do their own driveway chalk art, and then allow them to post that onto the Art and Wind Festival social media sites as well. So we're excited to see what people come up with there. Meanwhile, we're going to have a great example of a professional chalk artist who is doing a dedicated drawing for the Art and Wind Festival Spirit Week on the terrace patio in Central Park. So people would be able to see the artist as they design their artwork there from a comfortable distance. We have it planned so people can walk through leisurely, look at it. And since it's on the patio, you can see it from almost 360 degrees. So people can be spread out and see how the chalk artist actually designs the work and then presents it there. And that'll be about a 2-day process. We're also in the works of doing a time-lapse video. So once that chalk artist over the course of 2 days completes that, we're going to post that time-lapse video onto the website. So you can hopefully watch it in what I believe will take about 12 hours or so over the course of 2 days will be condensed into about a 4 to 5 minute video. So people can see how much work goes into those chalk art that people do. And then moving to Friday, the chalk artists will be back out there. We will be offering our first Art and Wind film showing at the Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center. We're going to be showing The Kite Runner. It'll be at 6:30 p.m. and it will be in accordance with movie theater rules under current state guidelines. So you will see there the note. We will require pre-registration. We'll be able to take that registration either by phone or by email. So anybody who is interested in attending that film showing that Friday, they would just have to let us know one of those methods, and we'll make sure that there's a reserved seat. Of course, we'll still have to follow all the procedures going into the theater. So there are certain restrictions, certain spacing, but we believe we can comfortably and safely show a film for the community. So we're very excited to be doing that. Then that leads us to Saturday. Saturday is going to be a lot of different things people can do, both at the park, at the theater, or at home. We'll kick it off, though. We are going to have a professional bubble smith. This is somebody who does a bubble show that is going to be out in the center of soccer field 1. And so they will have a perimeter around them, allowing people to passively walk by, be spectators. There's no reason to sit in one place though. And so they'll be able to really watch the show from near and or far. And also with the bubbles floating through the air, we expect that, people will just kind of enjoy that aspect of it as well. Meanwhile, we're also going to, set up bubble machines across the fields. So hopefully we're hopeful to fill the air with thousands of bubbles. So we hope that'll create this neat effect of bubbles floating all throughout the sky. That'll also be the first day that afternoon, we're going to offer our first professional large kite demonstration. So traditionally, we would have professional kite flyers who do some version of acrobatic kite flying. This year, it's going to be, once again, it's going to be only large kites. And those, if you've been to the festival in previous years, you may have remembered the blue whale kite. I think it was like 100 feet long, and you flies half a mile up in the sky, or it seems like it's that high. And so same thing, this will be those large kites, a variety of large kites that will fly extremely high and can be seen throughout probably the nearby community, including Central Park, but we assume it'll probably be high enough to be seen from quite a distance. So we're pretty excited about that as well. We're also going to have the ability, and this is really one of those all week. Once you get your swag bag, and we do the traditional where we give the kite kit, really encouraging people to just go out and fly their own kite. So you can do that, at any of our community parks, but go out there, enjoy the open space, where you can go out and just fly a kite with friends, with family, in accordance with all the rules. But that one, once you have, we really want to encourage that. And once again, that really drives home the spirit of the Art and Wind Festival, and the wind and the kite flying. And so we have that for all 3 days, but really you can do that anytime you want. We also have 2 additional film showings on Saturday. So once again, abiding by all the rules, but the first one will be really a family film. We're going to play the movie Up. Of course, if you've seen it or you're curious, it has a lot to do with the flight of balloons and a gentleman who attaches his house to many balloons. And so we thought it was a nice tribute to that aspect. And the second showing of movie will be Flight of the Red Balloon. Now, this is a foreign film. It will be a film, that follows a young boy and this red balloon that kind of takes him through growing up. And so if you are interested in that movie, hadn't seen that movie, we thought it also played really well into the Art and Wind Spirit Week. Now, both those movies were abiding by all the current regulations, and you'll see they're spaced out properly. And once again, to attend the movies, we will ask that anybody wanting to come pre-registers, calls, and or sends us an email at a minimum of an hour prior to the showing of that film. And then moving to Sunday, we were very excited to find out that the Remax hot air balloon still would like to come out and do their hot air balloon demonstrations. They're going to do that on Lucky A's Field 1. And so we will have a perimeter there, but you'll be able to observe how they inflate the hot air balloon, let it out, and then tether it, and they'll bring it off the ground several feet. We won't be able to have anybody go on rides this year, but it's still a very impressive feat. When you see how large these hot air balloons are, and it'll be fully inflated. And like I said, they'll tether it so it comes off the ground, probably about 20 to 30 feet. So it's still quite a interesting process to see, and very something that we think the community will enjoy. And once again, that day we'll also have the professional large kite demonstration that afternoon. They'll be flying a different variety of kites, so it won't always be the same kite each day. And then also, once again, encouraging people to go out into their community and really fly their own kite and enjoy all the many parks that San Ramon has to offer, or their backyards, or wherever they have. But it doesn't have to be in one place, and that's what we're really excited to be able to say. There's all these different ways you could enjoy these different items. And then Monday, we'll have the hot air balloon demonstration in the middle. And then we are going to do a Memorial Day recognition at Memorial Park. We've created a little area near the flags there at Memorial Park where people can come out and put their own flag there in this field as a tribute to Memorial Day. They will receive that bag with instructions in the swag bag as well, but we'll also have some there the day of if anybody wants to come out. And then also there will be a memorial wreath out there as well, and just give people the opportunity to come out and recognize the Memorial Day. So we'll be out there all day for that as well. And then in addition, we still have the professional large kite demonstrations going on in Central Park, and then also the Fly Your Own Kite Day, which again will be encouraging people to go out into the community. So here is a list of all the different ways you can enjoy these things. We're also really encouraging people to go onto the website where we'll have the virtual demonstrations of some of these things. So if you're unable to come out to the park or get out to one of the community parks, then you still will have the opportunity to go onto the website and really experience a lot of these entities or items virtually. And then we do have the listing of the locations for some of these items if you didn't know where they were located at. But yes, we're very excited. We're very happy. It was a lot to bring together, but we were thinking that, the community hopefully will really find a way to enjoy the things we are able to offer under the guidelines. And, as I said, really honor the spirit of Art and Wind Festival this year.
Thank you, Steve. We have a variety of things to do, and you've done an excellent job. And I hope, Kathy, you will take back to all of your employees in the Park and Community Services staff that you'll, give them our appreciation for all of the hard work that they've had to do in this COVID, that we can't do it, and then not knowing exactly how much you can do, and then it keeps changing. And also, I think it's really great what you've come up with, and I think we can all enjoy it. So does anyone have any questions for Steve or Kathy?
I think you've got some hands.
Yes, I have. Okay, I have this time. I do see your hand. Commissioner Heidi L. Kopp-Hessek.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez Lucy. I won't go on for very long because I know it's getting late, but thank you very much for your very detailed, thoughtful way to serve the community in a difficult time, trying to preserve the spirit, the essence, and the core of the Art and Wind Festival and provide it to our community. I can go on, but I'm not going to. I'm sure others will share additional feedback. My request is, I'm sure you're going to try and put some things in the district's peach jar channels, but might you also send me something that I can push out to all 35 of our schools, letting them know about this so that we can help spread the word and keep that spirit alive by getting it to all of our families with school-aged children as well. And if you send it to me at my communications@srbcouncilpta.org, other hat website, or other hat address, I can push it out to all of our schools and get a newsletter article and share on social media as well. Thank you. I really hope everybody has the opportunity to take advantage of it. It's very exciting. Thank you very much for doing it.
All right, Student Commissioner Ramesh, you're next, please.
I just had a quick question. First of all, this is very impressive, especially on a short notice to pull off, but I was just wondering when all this information was going to be out for the public to see, because I checked the website and as far as I can tell, nothing has been announced yet.
Yeah, so very exciting. You're some of the very first to see and hear any of this information. So as we've been working with all these different groups, staff, and across the divisions, we really this afternoon were able to come back and have this be a final listing of activities. And so our goal is to get this information now out there. We are looking at Friday as being at least being able to send out reminder information and start posting this information as you saw on the flyer. So Friday you should start seeing a change in some of the information we have on our webpage, if not sooner, and then also what we start sending out through social media.
Yeah, and I will add, and that's exactly the push-pull we have, right? So we want people, but we don't want everyone at the same time. And so we did make the decision that rather than advertising it from the rafters for an entire month, that we would be better served and better able to do it if we did a big push right now. So that's what we're doing. Here it is, and get people involved at that point.
Thank you. Commissioner Heidi Consently, please.
Yeah. So Kathy, Steve, and team, you guys knocked it out of the park. Like, amazing. I was the one who was beating the let's soup up the virtual edition drum, and that's absolutely what I was looking for. So impressive. I do have a couple questions. How big is the wish tree, Kathy? Because the one that we were using for the prior wish tree project was kind of little. Are you guys, is that the same size?
It is the same bush. It's in the pot. It's grown a little bit. And so we're gonna see how the origami kite thing goes. If we need more space, then we can always add some different strings in the area. And the thing that Steve didn't mention, that's Becky's baby, is she wants to take all those origami kites once the festival is over or the event, whatever, our week is over, and make a public art piece that we could keep into perpetuity to kind of memorialize that this was the strange COVID year wind festival. But she really envisions those kites being able to be used in that. So I just wanted to mention that. So you're right, it is a small tree, but we have some backup plans if we need to increase space.
Okay. And then how many swag bags are you guys gonna have to distribute, out of curiosity?
1,000.
1,000. Okay. And then I do like that I see the logic in having it over the course of several days to hopefully aid in the social distancing. So I think that was very smart on your part. I am curious, and we went through the brochure, Steve, but I didn't see what is the expectation and how are we communicating expectations regarding masks and social distancing? Did I miss it? Was there something on the flyer?
I don't think that, do you want me to help out, Steve? I don't think it's on the flyer, but there's signage all over the park and we're adding additional signage. So, you know, all of the same regulations that are required by the county are in place. So if you walk in the community center building, your mask is required. You have to keep 6 feet of distance. If you're outside, the same thing. And so the staff have built in lots of areas like he's talked about with ropes around them to make sure that we've got people back, and signage that will additionally help with it. And then we'll have staff here during all those days if we see, and that's where I said, again, it's a push-pull for us because we don't want people to think there's a giant festival because we're very afraid that we'll get too many people. So we just want a very nice, peaceful, people come down and enjoy and keep your distance, and staff will help to monitor that. Obviously, if we suddenly have a problem, we'll have to take stronger action.
I mean, my feeling is that we should take some opportunities in advance to set the expectation that we're still social distancing and what that looks. That's just what I would do. I know we've got signage, but I feel like even if at this stage it's the website where we remind folks how to properly conduct themselves in it, because I think as things open up, people take that as a cue as I don't need to do this or that, the other. And I think we need to say we're doing this, but we need to follow the safety guidelines. And then the last thing is just, I love on the front of the flyer, Steve, how you said, do this at Central Park, do it in your home, or do it at any park, like a San Ramon Park. I think it's a great advertisement for our whole park system. And it like people, I think when they think of the Art and Wind Festival, they think of Central Park, right? But you're like spreading out the opportunities to celebrate at all the parks. And I love that you did that. That was great. Very well done. Good job. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Again, thank you all, Steve and Kathy and everyone. I know that you'll relay our thanks to everyone, and a great job. And I'm sure it will be fun.
I think Commissioner Dorlick had a comment too. I see his hand up.
Okay, now oh, there it is, up in the little corner. Okay,
So I just wanted to assure Heidi that I
I
think.
knew it. I knew it was going to be a Heidi education period. Okay, go
I
for it.
think the social distancing guidelines will work just about as much as the please don't bring your dog to the Art and Wine Festival did.
And yet
Just-
we have
just
to
saying.
try. We have
Just
to
Yes.
saying.
try.
Thank you.
Just
Thank
saying.
you.
Also,
We're hosting a prom
Steve?
Friday night with
Oh,
kids and telling
excuse
them
me.
6 feet apart. So you got to try. Good
Right.
luck.
Steve, I had one other question. Just for folks like Chairperson Carol and I, can you set up a few 10 by 10 booths? Just so we can stand in them for a couple of minutes and feel like we're really at the Art and Wine Festival?
I mean, we could look for something for you, Will. I can't tell you. I can get one delivered to you maybe. And
just for a couple of minutes, and make sure there's something like cooking in there, just so you start to sweat a little bit and really get the feel of it.
We understand you're going to miss it horribly, as everyone else is, but I'm not sure we can replicate that for you this year.
Yeah,
So
I know.
wait for it. It's back
it
to you
sounds
in
great.
2022.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. I like the idea over course of a week in multiple venues. I like getting the Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center back open again. Yeah, I like that. And I can actually see Lynn instead of just texting back and forth. So that sounds great. Good work.
okay, I don't see any more little hands. They keep popping up. So thank you again, and we'll move on to our staff reports, number 9.1, Recreation Program and Community Services Report. Does anyone have any comments on 9.1? I'd just like to say, I think it's tremendously that they've trained 50 new lifeguards who have completed the course and received certification, and 80% of those participants have been offered an opportunity to work with the city. So I think that's really great. So you can see we're opening up a little bit more. So it was just a comment that I had on that. I thought that was very, very good. Does anyone else have comments? Okay, then if there's no further comments, we'll move to 9.2, Maintenance and Operations Report. Does anyone have any comments on that portion? Oh, okay, the reports stay, for yourself. I will put it in there, if you're down at the farm and it's open, you might want to just peek there to see if the new baby lambs are out in the field. They are very, very cute. So we will go now to update on the city council report. And I believe, Ms. Heidi, you're prepared for that.
I am. I feel like I'm in school. Yes, ma'am, I am prepared. Okay, so on April 27th, there were 3 separate proclamations. One for for April, Alcohol Awareness Month, one for National Donate Life Month, organ donations, and one for Earthquake Preparedness Month. So the City Council also approved the Teen Council appointments as presented. So good job to everybody who participated in that. They received the Open Space Advisory report, which we of course all saw. So I was going to dazzle you with some open space statistics that I'm sure would be refuted by my Commissioner Dorlick, my colleague, but you're going to be spared of that. And then there was a resolution passed establishing the fees and charges for the various municipal services. So that was done. And then last night, there was a city council meeting with a proclamation declaring May 16th through the 22nd National Public Works Week, which I believe it's the 61st annual. Will, perhaps you were there, the first one, I'm not sure. And my factoid on that is...
Second one.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Okay, my factoid on that one is there are over 100 employees in our public works department. So that's a lot of folks keeping things running smoothly. So we appreciate them definitely. Then there was a very interesting discussion regarding a resolution to adopt a use of city flagpoles and a display of flags policy. So it primarily focused on commemorative flags, like, for example, an LGBT flag, and where that would be inappropriate, where it would be appropriate to display it. The city council, so 3 options were presented. One would be the city hall flagpole, the city hall marquee, and then the creation of a pole on the corner of Alcosta and Bollinger Canyon Road. The city council approved a policy that allows for a combination of the marquee display and a flagpole on the corner of Alcosta and Bollinger Canyon Road. A very interesting discussion. I always encourage you, check out the city council meetings if you want to dig into the meat and potatoes of the discussion. But that was discussed, and of course, the opportunities to display commemorative flags will be brought before the city council, so for them to make those decisions. A very interesting discussion. The city council was introduced to the Public Safety for Mental Health pilot project, which is being spearheaded by the fire district in conjunction with the city and with the police department, and also in concert somewhat with the county. Basically, the Contra Costa County's mental health initiatives to address, first response mental health crises are resulting in a little bit of a lag time. And I don't know that it would be considered a lag time, but like as much as 30 minutes to respond to that. So what this pilot project is trying to do is cut that first response. And Kathy, always correct me if ever I'm giving wrong information. I think I'm okay, but they're trying to cut down that response time. So down to, Kathy, I was hearing like 7 minutes. I mean, like really reduce it down, and also restructure who is the first one to interact with the folks having those mental crises. And it was a very thoughtful, well-considered way to address mental health crises in our community. And so again, take a look at it if you want to hear more about it, but it was very interesting, and they're all very excited about the opportunity to intervene and help folks with their mental health. So that was good. And then the second to last thing last night was discussing redistricting for city council district lines. The question was, do they pull in, for example, an independent redistricting commission, or does the city council do it themselves? City council has decided that they are capable, and they do not want to incur the expense of having a redistricting commission come in and do it. And they will be, once the census data is provided, they will be tweaking the district lines. So if you want to look at that, that's another one to take a look at. It was not a unanimous vote. That's all I'll say. You can check that out. And then there was some discussion finally of returning to in-person city council meetings. The net of that discussion was that the earliest the net of that was that city council did not want to go back to city council chambers if they had to wear a mask. But if they could go back without wearing the mask, and if the governor's actions allow it, they could be back as early as the second meeting in June. And so I believe, Kathy, that was the net of it, was potentially the second meeting in June for city council. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then commissions would follow, city council.
And then commissions would follow. So they're sort of looking at it as they're going to be the trailblazers. And then if all is successful, it would trickle to the commissions and committees and so forth. So interestingly, on that one, apparently there's some bills in the legislature looking at possibly revising the Brown Act. I don't have the details on it, to possibly allow for a hybrid approach to meetings where folks can call in and folks, can be in person. So I think that's very preliminary, but it was interesting to hear that this pandemic has led to a potential change in how we implement the Brown Act. And of course, the Brown Act is going to drive how we do things. So, so that's where we're at. So that was City Council.
Thank you. Very good report. Brief and right to the point. So we can go dig and see all this stuff if we want to. Thank you. All right. So that was the City Council. So now committee reports, and I'm going to start at the top of my screen. Vice Chair Oslin, your report.
Sure. I serve on as a liaison to the Teen Council, and we have not had a meeting, and we reported out at our last meeting what was discussed. So no report.
Thank you. Commissioner Beerbaum?
Thank you, Chairman Lopez Lucy. We did have an open space committee meeting on Monday. We had 3 items that were on the agenda. We had an educational presentation presented by the planning department on planning for housing in San Ramon. And it's a presentation that they're taking out to the various different commissions, explaining why, or explaining the housing allocations for the various cities and communities. We've all heard that San Ramon needs to build X number of houses over the next, cycle of housing. Cindy Yee from the planning department took us through it. It's a very well put together presentation. It explains how the numbers are generated. It explains how they're allocated. It explains what is a low income person, what is a high income. It's one of those kind of presentations that if you're interested in it, you ought to go back and listen to it. The long and the short of it is, in our next cycle, San Ramon has to plan for over 5,000 new homes, and it's going to be a challenge. So it was very educational and somewhat concerning. The other presentation we had was something that John had mentioned in his presentation. The Open Space Committee put together a orientation pamphlet for new members. We went through it and we discussed it. There was a lot of help from staff on it. Christy, did a lot of work on it to put it together. It's going to be a great document for new people coming into the Open Space Committee. And there was some additional documents that other committee members had recommended that it be put into it. So it's a living document, and I think it'll be something great for somebody new joining the commission. And then finally, we talked about Old Ranch open space trail naming. There's a section of the Old Ranch Trail that is going to be opened, and it's about 3/4 of a mile, right, Kathy?
I think it's a half a mile actually, but it's not long, but it's a trail.
Yeah, and so the Open Space Committee talked a little bit about naming, and the committee was presented with the naming document that we put together for naming parks and that, and we're going to follow those procedures. And then there was a little discussion about some feedback from some of the residents in the area about that trail. And I think that you had mentioned that earlier in the meeting, that we may have to have some side meetings on that. So, and then we did talk a little bit about John's presentation to the city council, which, we all felt he did a great job. So that's what we talked about at the Open Space Committee meeting.
Thank you, Don. And Commissioner Roberts?
Thanks, Chair Lopez Lucy. As far as new business, I have 2 quick updates from the Senior Advisory Committee May 3rd meeting. The first one was interesting. It was really a sort of a Brown Act review presentation, and that was done by our city's assistant city attorney. And actually, so I've been involved in commissions and committees now for a few years, and that's the first time I've actually seen a Brown Act review presentation. So it was actually informative. It was a good presentation, and I'm sure it was very informative to the new members of the Senior Advisory Committee. So that was helpful. Number two was a reopening of Senior Center status update from Steve Cox. As you all know, the Senior Center has been closed since March 13th of last year, with all indoor programs and activities canceled. Now, as we speak, Senior Center staff are planning a soft reopening of the center for registration-only programs starting in June, following state and county guidelines, obviously, of course. And some of those programs may include gentle yoga, yoga for health, and Zumba Gold. And as long as COVID-19 conditions continue to improve through June, a full reopening of the center is tentatively planned for July 6th, including offering drop-in classes, senior van transportation services, front desk operations, on-site volunteering, and use of recreation equipment, as well as resuming on-site congregate meals. And again, abiding by state mask mandates, of course. So that is my update.
All right, Commissioner Dorlick.
Great, thank you. Arts Advisory Committee meeting. And Heidi, I think you were in attendance, so please, if there's something else, bring that up. Had a couple of things that came up. Had several new members on the Arts Advisory Committee, so that was exciting. Get some new members in there. There was an election of officers on the rotation. There was a presentation regarding the walking district and the results of that. And then Erica Valentine gave an overall presentation of art in San Ramon. So just talking about a lot of the different venues, different areas, et cetera, things like that. So that pretty much covers it, except I would like to add an agenda item for next meeting. Heidi, if you could give us a feedback on how a socially distant prom got pulled off, I think we'd all appreciate that.
Yeah, I can tell you what's planned, but we can talk next time about how best intentions, but I think it all still comes down to we still gotta put it out there and then also accept reality.
Exactly. So just regarding that, there was just a ruling that came down from the state, excuse me, today regarding the real estate industry, and the state public health agency approved the reopening of open houses for marketing purposes. So there are still guidelines involved. There are, still wearing masks and a certain number of people within, a particular, residence and such. But so in reference to a socially distant prom, or the, Art and Wind Festival Spirit Week, where we're looking at, being involved, or the opening up of public meetings, this was one area that had been rigidly administered to by the Public Health Agency as well as OSHA. And it just came out today that there was agreement that those guidelines could start to be loosened, and we could start to do unscheduled, open houses without necessarily appointments. So I think that's giving an indication of, how the state is moving, because it did come down from state public health agency. Just as a FYI.
All right, thank you. And now we will go to Miss Heidi Elliott-Pressick, please.
I may be lost, and I will be honest with everybody. This has been a phenomenally busy several weeks, but I don't think I've had a committee meeting since we last met.
You may have not, because you're the library committee, correct?
Yeah, and I think we met before the last meeting.
You meet it quarterly, yes.
Yeah, and then we haven't had a field user steering committee meeting yet, so I have nothing to share on this front, so I will.
All right, thank you. My report on planning, the planning had their one of the programs that they had was one that we had previously had about the economics development and everything. So that was the same. We had already heard that. So I don't have anything to report on that. And then the EDAC committee did not meet this month. So I do not have a report on that. So that's short and sweet. And does anyone else, and Student Commissioner Amherst, you probably have given your report probably on the presentation that you gave earlier, but if you have anything to add, please do so.
I think that we haven't had a meeting since the last Parks Commission. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so that's our commissioner reports. Now, does any commissioner have member items that they'd like to present? I think.
One thing I forgot to announce that
Okay.
occurred to me. I know I'm not a commissioner, but
Well, we'll let you be.
Will said walking district. I'm like, oh, there is the walking district, you know, how they developed that kind of a draft. They're getting ready to bring that back on the 19th next week. I'll make sure we send you out an email. They're going to do a Zoom webinar in the evening for the public. So you can get kind of a look at what they came up with and provide some more feedback as they can continue to revise some of these plans and ideas. So I'll make sure we send that out to you, but I just wanted to mention it.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we've had a very productive meeting this evening and learned a lot. And so if no one has anything further for us, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.